Welcome to Conspiracy Theories and Cover-Ups. I'm your host, Ben Carter. In the blood-soaked theaters of World War II, a hidden chemical war raged beneath the surface. A war that was not fought with bullets and bombs, but with pills and powders. This was the drug-fueled campaign that fueled the Nazi war machine, a chilling tale of human engineering in the service of a brutal ideology. At the heart of this story lies a little blue pill known as Pervitin. This was no ordinary medication. It was methamphetamine, a powerful stimulant that could keep soldiers awake for days on end, dull their senses to the horrors of warfare, and instill in them a sense of invulnerability. Manufactured by the German pharmaceutical company Third, Pervitin was distributed widely among the ranks of the Wehrmacht and the Luftwaffe, the ground and air forces of Nazi Germany. The Pervitin tale starts before the outbreak of the war, during a time of intense scientific exploration in Germany. Amphetamines, the class of drugs to which methamphetamine belongs, were first synthesized in the late 19th century. But it was not until the 1930s that German scientists unlocked their full potential. In 1938, Third began to mass-produce Pervitin, marketing it as a wonder drug for a range of ailments, from depression to fatigue. The drug quickly found its way into the military. High-ranking officers, intrigued by the promise of a tireless soldier, began to distribute Pervitin among the troops. The results were astonishing. Soldiers on Pervitin could march for hours without rest, fight without fear, and push their bodies beyond the limits of human endurance. But the miracle drug had a dark side. Withdrawal symptoms were brutal, marked by severe depression, lethargy, and hallucinations. Dependence was common, and many soldiers found themselves unable to function without their daily dose of Pervitin. This was not the only drug in the Nazi arsenal. The regime experimented with a range of substances, from cocaine to morphine, in its relentless pursuit of the super soldier. These experiments were driven by a twisted ideology, a belief in the supremacy of the Aryan race, and a willingness to use any means necessary to achieve victory. This is the story of the Nazis on meth, a tale of science perverted by a monstrous ideology. It is a story that casts a new light on the horrors of World War II, revealing a hidden dimension of the conflict, a drug-fueled war that we were never taught about. As we delve deeper into the shadowy corners of this clandestine chapter of World War II, it's essential to establish the historical and cultural backdrop against which these events unfolded. The year was 1939. Germany, under the rule of Adolf Hitler, had just ignited the Second World War by invading Poland. The nation was gripped by a volatile cocktail of fear, nationalism, and blind obedience to the ideals of the Third Reich. The political climate was one of totalitarianism, where dissent was quashed with brutal efficiency, and propaganda was an omnipresent reality. Amidst this, a secretive culture of scientific experimentation thrived. The pursuit of a chemically enhanced super soldier was seen as a logical extension of the Nazi doctrine of racial superiority. This was an era where the lines of morality were blurred in the name of ideology, and the sanctity of human life was often disregarded. In the midst of this escalating conflict, the use of Pervitin and other psychoactive substances by the German military remained a closely guarded secret. The fear of public scandal, along with the potential for enemy exploitation, created an atmosphere of tight-lipped caution surrounding the subject. Soldiers were given daily rations of the drug, often without their knowledge or consent, and told that they were taking vitamins to enhance their stamina. Indeed, the systematic administration of Pervitin to German soldiers was so pervasive that it was not just restricted to the battlefield. Even back home, the drug was used to increase productivity and suppress fatigue in factories and other areas of the war economy. The effects of Pervitin, however, were not confined to the physical realm. It also had significant psychological impacts, creating an artificial sense of invincibility among those who took it, making them more aggressive and less likely to question orders. Though the use of methamphetamine by the German military was widespread, it was not universally accepted. Some high-ranking officers and medical personnel expressed concern over the risks and potential long-term damage associated with the drug. However, their voices were drowned out by the exigencies of war and the overriding belief in the necessity of chemical enhancement. Thus, in the tumultuous years of World War II, the stage was set for a chemical war. fought not just with guns and bombs but with pills and injections. This was a war fueled by a potent stimulant, a troubling testament to the lengths that a regime could go to in its quest for dominance and control. The consequences of this pharmacological warfare, however, were far-reaching, leaving a legacy of addiction, psychological trauma, and shattered lives in its wake. To fully comprehend the scale and depth of this pharmacological warfare, one must get acquainted with the key figures and organizations that facilitated it. At the heart of this vast operation was the Wehrmacht, the German military, which spearheaded the distribution and administration of Pervitin among its soldiers. The man in charge of this operation was Otto Ranke, a military doctor and the director of the Research Institute of Defense Physiology. Ranke, an ardent believer in the benefits of Pervitin, conducted several experiments that allegedly proved the drug's effectiveness in increasing alertness and reducing fatigue. His influence was instrumental in the adoption of Pervitin as a tool for warfare by the Wehrmacht. Assisting Ranke was Fritz Hauschild, a chemist working for the Berlin-based pharmaceutical company, Temmler-Werke, which was the primary manufacturer of Pervitin. Hauschild was the man who first synthesized methamphetamine in Germany, laying the groundwork for its mass production and distribution. Temmler-Werke, under Hauschild's guidance, produced millions of Pervitin tablets, fueling the German military's drug-induced warfare. The role of the Nazi Party, spearheaded by Adolf Hitler, cannot be overlooked in this narrative. Hitler himself was known to have a personal physician, Theodor Morell, who administered him a cocktail of drugs, including methamphetamines, to maintain his energy and focus. This personal connection to drug use may have influenced the party's willingness to embrace the use of Pervitin in the military. However, these entities did not act in isolation. They were part of a larger network of medical practitioners, pharmacists, and military officials who condoned and facilitated this widespread drug abuse. Despite whispers of dissent and concern, these voices were largely suppressed, drowned by the roaring tide of the war and the perceived necessity of any means to victory. The complicity of these individuals and organizations led to the creation of a war machine powered by mind-altering substances. The impact of their decisions reverberated far beyond the battlefields of World War II, leaving a dark legacy that would haunt mankind for generations to come. The unfolding of this narrative came to light gradually as researchers delved into the archives and stumbled upon the dark history of drug use in Nazi Germany. The first rumblings of this clandestine story surfaced when historians discovered medical records and correspondence that hinted at a systematic drug administration within the German military. One such discovery was a trove of letters written by Heinrich Böll, a young soldier who later became a Nobel laureate for literature. In his letters to his family, Böll repeatedly requested shipments of Pervitin, unwittingly providing evidence of the drug's widespread use among soldiers. This seemingly innocent request for more of those pills would become a critical piece of the puzzle, revealing the profound depths of the drug's infiltration into the ranks. Adding to this, documents from Temmler-Werke, the pharmaceutical company manufacturing Pervitin, were discovered. These records, which detailed the production and distribution of millions of Pervitin tablets, corroborated the stories of soldiers and the discoveries made in individual medical records. However, perhaps the most startling revelation was the uncovering of Adolf Hitler's personal medical records. Theodor Morell, Hitler's physician, kept detailed notes of his treatments, which included a cocktail of potent drugs, including methamphetamines. This evidence was a smoking gun, linking the highest echelons of the Nazi Party to the drug-fueled warfare that was being waged. The revelation of these findings sparked international interest and further investigation. Researchers began to piece together the narrative, connecting the dots between individual soldiers, medical practitioners, pharmaceutical companies, and the Nazi Party. The uncovering of this conspiracy was not the result of a single dramatic leak, but emerged from the persistent efforts of historians, journalists, and researchers committed to revealing the truth. This gradual unearthing of evidence and the subsequent public reaction also spurred a re-evaluation of the war itself. It prompted questions about the influence of drugs on the decision-making, aggression, and endurance of German soldiers. It led to profound ethical debates about the manipulation of human physiology for warfare and the long-term consequences of such choices. The revelations about Nazis' use of methamphetamines during World War II served as a stark reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink in the pursuit of power and victory, and the dangerous allure of chemical enhancement as a tool of warfare. However, the exposure of this chilling component of World War II's history was not without its resistance and attempts at suppression. There were concerted efforts from various quarters, be it governments, corporations, or institutions, to downplay, cover up, or outright deny the scale of drug use within the Nazi ranks. Various mechanisms of suppression and control were employed to keep this dark secret buried. In the immediate aftermath of the war, the victorious Allies had a vested interest in portraying the Nazi regime as an unambiguous evil, a machine of war that was solely driven by ideological fanaticism. The narrative of a drug-fueled Wehrmacht complicated this picture. It introduced an element of human frailty and manipulation into the story, which could potentially undermine the image of the Nazi soldier as a conscious, willing participant in the atrocities committed. Moreover, many of the major pharmaceutical companies, including Temmler-Werke, had been integrated into the economic fabric of post-war Germany and were significant contributors to its recovery. Their complicity in the mass production and distribution of methamphetamines during the war was an inconvenient truth that could potentially tarnish their reputation and affect their bottom line. Consequently, these companies had a vested interest in suppressing any information linking them to the drug-fueled warfare of the past. Institutions like the German Medical Association, which had a significant number of members who had served as doctors during the war, were also implicated. The role of medical professionals in prescribing and administering methamphetamines to soldiers was a deeply unsettling aspect of this narrative. These institutions, hoping to protect the reputation and integrity of the medical profession, worked hard to distance themselves from these revelations. Likewise, witnesses who could provide first-hand accounts of drug use were often silenced, discredited, or ignored. Many soldiers, fearful of reprisals or the stigma associated with drug use, chose to remain silent about their experiences. Others who tried to come forward found their accounts dismissed or ridiculed, often being labeled as exaggerations or fabrications. Through these concerted efforts, the narrative of the drug-fueled war was successfully suppressed for decades. However, the truth, as it often does, found a way to seep through the cracks. As more and more evidence came to light, and as the commitment to unearthing the truth became more resolute, the suppression and control efforts began to crumble. Yet, the struggle to fully acknowledge and understand this aspect of World War II continues, revealing the complexity and enduring power of historical narratives. In the face of this widespread denial and suppression, the task of uncovering the truth fell upon a bold few. Journalists, historians, and whistleblowers emerged from the shadows of silence to expose the extent of drug use during World War II. They faced immense resistance, putting their careers, reputations, and often their lives at risk to shed light on this hidden facet of history. One such figure was Heinrich Böll, a prominent German writer and future Nobel laureate. Böll served as a soldier during the war and was a first-hand witness to the rampant consumption of methamphetamines in the German military. In a series of letters written to his family, he revealed the widespread use of Pervitin, a brand of methamphetamine. While these letters were initially dismissed as exaggerations, they later provided crucial evidence in exposing the truth. Journalists, too, played a vital role in this revelation. Norman Ohler, a German author and journalist, unearthed a trove of documents that provided evidence of the officially sanctioned use of stimulants in the German military. His book, Blitzkrieg, Drugs in Nazi Germany, published in 2015, was a pivotal moment in the effort to reveal the truth. Ohler faced significant backlash for his revelations, with many accusing him of sensationalism and historical revisionism. Despite this, his work has pushed forward the discourse on the topic and has prompted more extensive research into the issue. The role of insiders and whistleblowers cannot be overstated. Many medical professionals who had served during the war felt compelled to come forward, risking their reputations and professional standing. Their testimonies provided invaluable insights into the widespread use and administration of methamphetamines within the military. Yet, resistance to these revelations was, and continues to be, fierce. Those who dared to speak out were often discredited, their testimonies dismissed or suppressed. The substantial economic and societal interests vested in maintaining the existing narrative presented formidable obstacles to those seeking the truth. The stakes were high and the consequences of dissent were severe. Despite the risks, the dedication and courage of these individuals have chipped away at the wall of silence that has surrounded this issue for decades. Their efforts have shone a light on a dark and forgotten chapter of World War II, illuminating the true extent of the drug-fueled war. Yet, the struggle to fully acknowledge and understand this aspect of the war continues. It is a stark reminder of the power and complexity of historical narratives and the lengths to which some will go to maintain them. Declassified files and archival documents have been crucial in corroborating these personal testimonies and journalist investigations. In 2005, a study funded by the German Research Foundation revealed a startling amount of data on the German military's use of Pervitin. The study, based on the military archives in Freiburg, uncovered orders for more than 35 million tablets of Pervitin during the spring of 1940 alone, coinciding with the blitzkrieg invasion of France and the Low Countries. A series of letters by Dr. Otto Ranke, a military doctor and director of the Institute for General and Defense Physiology at Berlin's Academy of Military Medicine, were among the most revealing. In these letters, Dr. Ranke argued that Pervitin could help the Wehrmacht win the war. He described the effects of the drug as making the soldiers wide awake, fearless, and energetic. Moreover, a document from Heinrich Himmler, the Reichsführer of the Schutzstaffel, SS, to SS Dr. Ernst Günther Schenk, further supports the claims. In this communication, Himmler ordered Dr. Schenk to investigate the effects of Pervitin and other stimulants on his troops. The aim was to create a drug that would make soldiers capable of fighting for days without rest. The U.S. National Archives in Washington also hold evidence. A report by the U.S. Naval Technical Mission, written in 1945, details the use of stimulants by the German military. The report concludes that the German military made extensive use of methamphetamines, especially during the initial stages of the war, to enhance performance and counteract fatigue. Despite the mounting evidence, the topic remains contentious, with many arguing that the use of drugs was not officially sanctioned or widespread. However, the uncovered documents, testimonies, and studies tell a different story. They reveal a systematic, state-sanctioned program to keep soldiers alert and aggressive. It is a narrative that challenges our understanding of the Nazi regime and the Second World War, a narrative that continues to fuel debate and demands further exploration. The revelations about the use of Pervitin by the German military during World War II had a profound impact on public perception and trust. Understandably, this information was met with shock and disbelief. The idea that a regime, infamous for its systematic atrocities, might have been fueled by a potent drug was hard to digest for many. This is a stark reminder of the lengths the Nazi regime was willing to go in its pursuit of domination. The media's reaction to this revelation was varied. Some outlets treated the story with skepticism, while others published sensationalist headlines about the drug-fueled Nazis. Yet, despite the differences in coverage, the story was too intriguing to ignore. It provided a fresh perspective on a well-trod historical event and thus attracted a significant readership. However, the revelation also sparked controversy and denial. A faction of historians and scholars argued that the documents and testimonies were misinterpreted, taken out of context, or even forged. They maintained that the use of methamphetamines by the German military was neither officially sanctioned nor widespread. The idea of a state-sanctioned program to keep soldiers stimulated and aggressive was, they argued, a gross exaggeration. This counter-argument, however, did little to quell public curiosity or skepticism. If anything, it added a new layer of intrigue to the narrative, fanning the flames of debate. The public was left to grapple with a disturbing question. What if it were true? What if one of the most destructive regimes in history was, in part, propelled by a potent, mind-altering substance? The controversy also raised important questions about historical accuracy and transparency. How much do we truly know about the past? How many dark secrets are still buried in the annals of history, waiting to be unearthed? And perhaps most importantly, can we ever fully trust the official narratives we've been taught? The fallout from this revelation continues to reverberate today. It has fueled a renewed interest in World War II, prompting researchers to dig deeper into the archives, re-examine old testimonies, and challenge long-held beliefs. It has also underscored the importance of transparency and critical thinking in the study of history. The story of the drug-fueled Nazis serves as a stark reminder that the past is often far more complex and unsettling than we might want to believe. The shadow of this drug-fueled wartime narrative stretches beyond the confines of academia and popular history, seeping into modern culture, politics, and technology. It has served to amplify the already profound fascination and horror associated with the Nazi regime. Films, novels, and video games have incorporated these revelations into their narratives, both as a means of exploring the darker aspects of human nature and as a way to question the nature of power, control, and moral responsibility. In the realm of politics, the debate over this revelation has highlighted the dangers of state-sanctioned manipulation and the potential for widespread abuse under autocratic regimes. It has rekindled discussions about the ethics of war and the lengths to which governments might go to ensure victory. It serves as a stark reminder of the potential for human rights abuses when power is unchecked and absolute. Moreover, the story of the drug-fueled Nazis has influenced the way we approach and understand modern drug policy. It underscores the potential dangers of drug misuse and the devastating consequences it can have, particularly when used to enhance performance or manipulate behavior on a mass scale. This narrative has contributed to a broader discourse on the social, medical, and political implications of drug use and abuse, prompting a re-evaluation of drug policies worldwide. But perhaps the most significant impact of this revelation is the way it has transformed our understanding of history itself. It has raised important questions about the nature of historical truth and the power of official narratives. It has challenged the notion that history is a fixed, immutable entity, reminding us that it is, in fact, a dynamic and evolving construct, susceptible to reinterpretation and revision. The story of the drug-fueled Nazis serves as an important lesson in the dangers of unquestioned acceptance and the necessity of critical thinking. It underscores the importance of maintaining an open and inquiring mind, of questioning the status quo, and of seeking out the hidden truths that lie beneath the surface of accepted narratives. In a world where information is increasingly manipulated and controlled, where the line between fact and fiction is often blurred, the tale of the drug-fueled Nazis resonates powerfully. It reminds us that history is not always what it seems, that there are often darker, more complex realities lurking beneath the surface. It encourages us to question, to probe, and to seek out the truth, no matter how uncomfortable or unsettling it might be. In the shadow of this revelation, a myriad of questions remain unanswered. Did the widespread use of methamphetamine significantly alter the course of World War II? To what extent did the Nazi war machine rely on the artificial stamina and aggression provided by the drug? If the Allies had known about the Nazis' secret weapon, would they have taken a different course of action? And perhaps most intriguingly, what other secrets are yet to be unearthed from the murky depths of the past? It's likely that there are still countless stories lying dormant, waiting to be discovered, that could reshape our understanding of history. The case of the Nazis on meth serves as a poignant reminder that the past is a complex tapestry woven from a multitude of threads, many of which remain hidden or forgotten. It's easy to see history as a series of events, neatly arranged in chronological order. But the reality is far more complex. History is a living, breathing entity, constantly evolving and reshaping itself. It's a labyrinth of secrets and mysteries, a puzzle with countless missing pieces. The story of the Nazis on meth is just one piece of this puzzle, a piece that, once it was uncovered, changed the entire picture. The narrative of the drug-fueled Nazis also serves as a stark warning. It reminds us of the dangers of unchecked power and the lengths to which some will go in the pursuit of victory. It's a chilling testament to the potential for abuse inherent in any system that places too much power in the hands of too few. Yet, as disturbing as this story is, it also carries a note of hope. It reminds us of the power of truth, of the capacity for courageous individuals to challenge the status quo and bring hidden realities to light. It serves as a rallying cry, an encouragement to question, to probe, to seek out the truth, no matter how uncomfortable or unsettling it might be. In the end, The story of the Nazis on meth is a testament to the complexity of history, the dangers of unchecked power, and the enduring power of truth. It's a story that continues to resonate, a story that reminds us of the importance of questioning, of seeking, of uncovering the hidden truths that lie beneath the surface of accepted narratives. It's a story that, despite its darkness, carries within it a glimmer of hope. The hope that, through the relentless pursuit of truth, we can come to a better understanding of our past, and perhaps a better vision for our future. Thanks for listening. This has been Conspiracy Theories and Cover-Ups. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you'd like to support the show, subscribe to the Forbidden Knowledge Network on Patreon. Subscribe now.